5,000, Koch answered. Maybe more. Scattered across at least a dozen camps in Soviet-controlled territory. Poland, Eastern Germany, Czechoslovakia. Patton's reaction was immediate. Get me Eisenhower. But Eisenhower's response was measured, careful. Diplomatic channels were already engaged, he said. The State Department was aware. Protests had been filed through proper channels. Give it time. Patton didn't want to give it time. He wanted his soldiers back. He convened a meeting with General Hobart Gay, his chief of staff, and Koch. The three men studied maps of Soviet positions, troop strengths, supply lines. Patton wasn't planning diplomacy. He was planning leverage. His proposal was straightforward, blunt even. The Soviets held something America wanted, 5,000 prisoners. America held something the Soviets wanted, territory. Patton's Third Army occupied portions of Czechoslovakia and Eastern Germany that under existing agreements would eventually fall within the Soviet zone of occupation. Territory the Soviets hadn't yet physically occupied. Patton's idea was simple. We don't move, not 1 mile, not one soldier, until every American prisoner walks free. We sit on their territory until they give us our men. Gay raised the obvious concern. That violates the occupation agreements. We've committed to pulling back to designated zones. Patton's answer was characteristic. They violated the Yalta Agreement first. They're holding our prisoners. Agreements work both ways, or they don't work at all. Koch provided the intelligence picture. The Soviets wanted that territory, badly. It contained industrial infrastructure, transportation networks, resources they desperately needed for reconstruction. Every day Patton's forces remained was a day those assets stayed out of Soviet hands. The leverage was real, but so was the risk. The Soviet army in Europe numbered over 6 million men. Patton's Third Army, formidable as it was, couldn't match those numbers. This wasn't a plan for war, it was a plan for pressure. Calculated, deliberate pressure, applied at the exact point where it would hurt most. Patton sent his proposal to Eisenhower on June 8th. Our intelligence puts the number between 4,000 and 6,000 American POWs currently held by the Soviets, possibly higher. Patton's jaw clenched. And they won't release them? No, sir. We've submitted multiple formal requests. The Soviets keep dragging their feet. Why? What are they after? Koch paused. We're not certain. Some believe it's leverage for post-war bargaining. Others suspect Stalin simply doesn't trust us, doesn't want American soldiers witnessing what's unfolding inside Soviet-controlled territory. Patton rose from his chair and crossed to the wall map. The boundary separating American and Soviet zones cut through Germany's center, a bright red line, clean and surgical. Those are boys, Patton said, his voice low. They survived the Germans. They deserve to come home. He turned back to Koch. Build me a file. Every name, every American we know Soviet forces liberated. Every camp location, every shred of proof we can gather. I'm going to demand their return, formally, on record. Koch assembled the documentation. It took a full week. The file was massive. Names, ranks, serial numbers, units, German camp locations, liberation dates, testimony from prisoners who'd escaped. 5,217 Americans, documented, verified, unaccounted for. Patton routed the file through official channels to SHAEF, Supreme Headquarters Allied Expeditionary Force, along with a direct message for Eisenhower, requesting immediate Soviet intervention. 5,000 American POWs missing, last confirmed in Soviet custody. Yalta Agreement requires their prompt repatriation. Eisenhower passed the request to the Soviet liaison. 3 days later, the response arrived. polite, diplomatic. We have examined American assertions. No evidence supports the presence of American prisoners within our sector. All liberated personnel were processed and transferred to the appropriate Allied authorities. If Americans maintain otherwise, they are in error. Patton read it a second time, then hurled it across the room. They're lying. We have names, we have eyewitnesses, and they claim these men simply don't exist. General Hobart Gay, his chief of staff, attempted to steady him. Sir, this is diplomatic territory now. SHAEF will manage it. SHAEF will talk. And while they talk, our boys rot in Soviet camps, wondering why nobody's coming. Patton paced, thinking, running calculations. His orders were clear. Don't provoke the Soviets. The alliance hung by a thread. The Pacific War still raged. Soviet cooperation remained strategically vital. But 5,000 Americans sat captive, again, under different guards. Patton made his decision. Bring me Colonel Waters. Lieutenant Colonel John K. Waters, Patton's own son-in-law, recently freed from a German POW camp himself. Waters understood captivity from the inside. The waiting, the silence, the gnawing question of whether rescue would ever arrive. He was there within the hour. John, I need something done, off the books. Waters listened as Patton laid it out. The Soviet denial, the diplomatic deadlock. I need someone watching those camps. I need confirmation. Are our men actually there? What shape are they in? And why are the Soviets keeping them? You're asking me to cross into Soviet territory. I'm asking you to get close enough to verify. Escaped prisoners gave us locations. I need hard proof, something undeniable, something I can use to break this open. Waters understood completely. No official order existed. This was personal. He pulled together a small team, intelligence men, fluent Russian speakers, operatives who could move quietly and disappear. They crossed into Soviet-controlled Poland on June 18th. Civilian clothing, no insignia, no identification, just maps, coordinates, and purpose. 3 days in, they located the first camp, exactly what Shaw had described. A repurposed German facility, Soviet sentries posted at the entrance, and inside, Americans, hundreds of them. Wearing a patchwork of uniforms, American, German, whatever had been issued, but unmistakably American soldiers. Waters observed through binoculars. He recorded everything. Photographs taken from a safe distance, head counts of visible prisoners, camp layouts sketched out, guard rotation patterns logged, conditions assessed. Then he moved to the next site, and the next. By June 25th, Waters had confirmed 4 separate camps. His estimate, more than 3,000 Americans, adequately fed, physically intact,